Hello, Norwood superstars. Let's get started with today's Norwood News newsletter edition for Friday, June 11th, 2021. This is the weekly newsletter for Norwood Elementary School, part of Baltimore County Public Schools. Thank you for joining us once again. Don't forget, at the top here, we have new school phone numbers. There are some people who still call the old phone numbers. We have changed numbers and they are currently forwarding, but we don't know for how long. So make sure you write these down, 443-809-7055 for the front office. And if you need to use our fax number for like registration forms or anything, it's 443-809-7057. All right, so let's get started with some important upcoming dates. Starting with Wednesday, June 16th, is another asynchronous day for students. Remember, they have their specials to go to live and any other small groups or arrangements with their teacher. But for the most part, they're, as always, throughout the year, they're just working at their own pace. Now, that same day, Wednesday, June 16th, is going to be our final coffee and conversation session at 11 a.m. We're going to go into more detail about that later. Friday, June 18th, is the final day of classes for pre-K students only, and they have a normal schedule. They do not get out early. It is a normal day for them. And for Monday, June 21st, it's a 3-hour early dismissal for all students, that remain, K through 3rd. Norwood dismisses at 12:05 instead of 3:05 that day. And then for Tuesday, June 22nd, it is the final day of classes. Once again, final day, Tuesday, June 22nd. So your kids will be very happy that day. Kindergarten through 3rd grade are going to get out 3 hours early. Norwood dismisses at 12:05. So talking about the end of the school year, there's some things we're going to want to ask of you or we're going to make you aware of, for materials and supplies and things to return. Don't forget about returning your library books if you still have any. But speaking of things to return, unused hotspots. If your child happens to have a hotspot that he or she is no longer using for any reason, then please call the front office. If they are receiving hybrid instruction and coming to school in person, you can just put it in their book bag, send it with them, let us know. When you drop them off, you can hand it over, that's fine. But if they are part of Cohort C, virtual only, but now they have internet at home, they don't need these, that's fine. Please let us know so we can arrange time for you to come by because there are some families who may still need one. Now, our social worker corner with Ms. JULIEN is a little bit longer today, but basically what she's talking about here is something important that's a spin-off of the conscious discipline this curriculum that we've been teaching throughout the year for your students. And we really want them to have consistency throughout the summer when they're home and not in school. So it would be a good idea to practice some of these conscious discipline strategies, one of them being the concept of a safe space. Now, this is really important because this is really to help with what's called emotional regulation. And we're going to hear some suggestions by Dr. Hausman, who is someone who has talked about this in various different printed materials out there and studies. So first, let's just talk about what is a safe space. And it's just important to know that what it's not is a form of punishment. It is not the same as timeout. A safe space is basically a place where your child can go to calm themselves down when they start to notice themselves that their emotions are getting out of control. That is the goal, that they can do this themselves and auto-regulate and know how to deal with their anger, frustration, depression, whatever. So creating a safe space in your home is a good idea, but just don't do it in your child's room because they already have certain energies and attachments to that room. Plus, it's easier for you to monitor when they're not in their room, especially if they have the tendency to just shut you out and close the door. Now, where should you use a safe space? Now, well, let's talk about when. Before things escalate is a really good idea. It's supposed to be a soothing and inviting place that's just to help them enter whenever they're feeling emotionally dysregulated, which means they're too heightened or really far from normal and being balanced and neutral. And Dr. Hausman says that it's really important for parents to help children identify themselves, the signs that their body gives them, to let them know that they're starting to lose control emotionally. Like, for example, if they clench their jaw, their teeth, they're tightening their fists, if they start raising their voice a lot and getting very hyper or short of breath, furrowing their brows, begin throwing things, at that point it might be getting a little too late. But, when you start to see that this is what's happening, that's a good time to help them recognize it instead of just ordering to go. Help them recognize it too. Now, setting one up, where should you do it? Well, it should be any area of the house where they can be comfortable enough to lay down or sit. And you may want to include some activities, some calming activities to help engage them. There may be some that they already like to use. And these could be sensory in nature, but it's not really a requirement that they be sensory. It just depends on your child and how they respond to things. So here are some recommendations, and you may recognize some of these. You can click on the link for the glitter jar, which in the video here we'll include in the description, because we did that before. On a previous Social Worker Corner, Miss JULIEN talks step by step on how to make one. And she's included the link here to directly you can be refreshed on how to do that. Bubbles, a stress ball to squeeze, fidget spinners, a pinwheel, or anything visual for like to help them while they're doing breathing exercises, calming activities that your child may already know or enjoy, a journal or diary for anyone who's older, art materials like coloring books, pencils, crayons, blankets and pillows to make it comfortable, a timer, and a stuffed animal to hug or squeeze. Now, some other things that you may want to consider when you're getting this set up. Have your child help with the planning, because you want to listen to their idea so that it's a customized and personalized space that they feel welcome in and it caters to their needs. You'd be surprised how sometimes they will have some pretty good suggestions themselves for a place like this. And next, teach your child how to use everything that you've included. Don't just assume anything and set expectations based on assumptions. Go through, even if they're already familiar. It's more so the conversation that you want them to remember when they're in those moments, because it's hard to remember a thing clearly when you're upset or severely anxious or depressed. If they remember that time you calmly went through everything, they may start to do it on their own, and they refer back to that memory before it just becomes mechanical. And be consistent. It's going to take some adjustment, but if being a little consistent and having some firm but gentle guidance on when it's time to use the calm down corner, eventually they're going to get wind of it and they're going to catch on and start doing it themselves, where you don't even have to tell them. That's really the goal here. And work together to create a set of rules of this space. If you're going to have a rule, like for example, that they can't scream while they're there, but they can scream somewhere else to get it out, or they can't throw things while they're there, like you want to set some rules, but don't just make them be your rules. Have them try to participate in creating some rules themselves, and they'll again feel some more pride and ownership when they finally start to do this on their own. And there are some pictures here to show you some examples in the written version of the newsletter on what this may look like, these certain spaces, some examples, or what are some things that you can have there. Like, anyone could stand to benefit, even adults, from a giant squeezable Pikachu. All right, so talking about summer materials again, we didn't have a specific pickup schedule for virtual students who may need to get some materials because they're not in school. So you can ignore this if you are in hybrid instruction and you are already coming to school. But Monday, June 21st and Tuesday, June 22nd, between 1 and 3 p.m., if you have a student in cohort C, that means they're only receiving virtual instruction, then you should stop by the school during those times to be able to pick up some things like art supplies or workbooks for those of you who are in ESOL services, or general summer reading lists and materials. You just got to take in mind that they may be different for different students depending on what classes they have in their grade. And you should also note that during that time, they're already going to have been dismissed. Remember, those last days of school, they're getting out 3 hours early. So you don't have to worry about that being a conflict. Now, the final coffee and conversation for the school year is happening on June 16th. That's a Wednesday, and from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Thank you so much for all of those who have attended and for their support. We appreciate those of you who have come out to learn and to really share also your insight. We appreciate those who have taken the time to fill out evaluations throughout the year. That's really helpful. We've gotten some really good ideas from those of you who have. So this is going to be about the summer slide, summer learning concept. And summer slide sounds like a really fun, ride, but really what we're talking about is regression, information regression. Did you know that on average students can lose up to a fifth, up to 20% of their learned information over the summer? Yeah, it's a good enough amount of time. So teachers do have to spend some time reviewing in the beginning of the following school year. And to help minimize that and help your child be more successful, we want to share some tips, some activities and resources to not only keep them engaged, but to also just help reduce that gap. And there's going to be some fun activities that are happening around locally too. So we're going to go into that one. So please join us, as always, via Google Meet using the code NorwoodFamilies. This is the last chance to register for the summer playground camp at Berkshire Elementary School. We've talked about this in depth, and the address is located here in the flyer. That's very nearby. And it's going to be from July 6th to August 5th, Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. with lunch and breakfast included. That's a sweet deal for $125 per child. It's a 5-week camp, and those of you who know anything about summer camps know that they can be in the hundreds of dollars. So the fact that it's local is great. There's only one more date left for you to register in person. You have to go to Berkshire Elementary and go to the community recreational room, and you have to go Monday, June 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. in the evening. that's where you can register. Also, last call for vision and hearing screening appointments. Now, they had been stuck on a final date on the 16th, but then just now expanded to the 23rd. So there are a bunch of new appointments and dates available. The nearest one to this area is the Eastern Family Resource Center in the White Marsh area. Some of you may be familiar because that's a place that provides other resources for nearby families, like if you need to get vaccines for starting school. There's other things that they do there. But please keep in mind that this is not a medical visit. If your child does not pass for whatever reason any one of the two screenings, which are very quick, by the way, they're only a few minutes long. If they do not pass, they're not going to prescribe anything. They're not going to give you anything. It's just to inform you and give you the information so that you can take it from there with your doctor or call the school nurse. We've included here Nurse Debbie's number that you can call her directly at, 443-809-6029. If you don't have medical insurance or don't know where to get glasses or hearing aids you don't know what to do with the information that they gave you if your child did not pass, call her. And if you're not sure if your child even needs to get screened, call her as well. She's happy to help run that by you and to verify if your child needs it. We've included here which students were affected and that needed to because of the disruption with virtual instruction and the schools being closed. It's basically only those who are new to the state of Maryland and have not had any of these screenings before in the last year. And it's for students or students in pre-K or kindergarten or first grade that were not screened in the last 2 years, and this year or last year due to the disruption. So those students are the ones that should have received the letter. If your child falls in that category and they didn't get a letter, you may want to click here to register online. It's really straightforward. You just click on the link and it's a sign up genius where you look for the dates that has open spots that say sign up, and you just click on that and submit at the very bottom. And you're going to want to find the one that says Eastern Family Resource Center like you see here, or it says EFRC sometimes. So just checkbox whichever appointment you want to do and then click down where it says submit and sign up, and you're good. Then you just need to fill out some information about the parent. It'll ask for the name, the student's name, their date of birth, and you're going to confirm that information when you go there. If you, whatever reason, you can't do it online, there's a phone number that you can call too, and they will help you. They will book you themselves. So this is very useful. Call 410-887-2721. Lastly, registration is going to continue for the next school year for 2021-2022. As we've mentioned previously, if your child is going to be 5 years old by September 1st, that is the last day they can be 5, they qualify for kindergarten and need to be enrolled for next year. If they're going to be 4 years old by September 1st, included that last day, then they can register for pre-K, but that's not a mandatory program, so it's your choice if you want to enroll them. And there's different criteria for either automatic eligibility or not. So you can always ask us any questions that you have about that. Just call the front office. Miss Sue or Miss Kayla are happy to help you. Even during the summer, they'll be here. But because staffing levels are going to be reduced, just make sure, try to take advantage of the rest of us who are here, like myself, Mr. Castro. I can help Spanish-speaking families as well. We will be here till Tuesday, June 22nd, the last day of classes. Teachers will not be here, will be severely reduced. So don't just assume that you can walk up during the summer and get help that moment. You may want to call the school in advance. So as always, call at 443-809-7055 to see if you have any questions or need to pick up a packet. And lastly, also, report cards will be distributed on June 22nd. If you have a student here receiving in-person instruction, they will be sent home with a hard printed copy. But you can also click here and go to the link for focus, and you can just sign. You can click here, and if you need to know what to do once you get there, just watch this video that we have here below, or you can click here for some written instructions. And that's basically it. I mean, it's there for your viewing. You can access it if you need it to provide for anything else as well. If you are a virtual student only, a cohort C student, and your family would like a hard copy, a printed copy, please call the school so we can get one to you and send one out by mail. That's it for today's edition. Thank you very much. We hope you're having a wonderful time enjoying this weather. And I hope you avoid some of these rainy days that are happening. And as always, keep on learning. Thank you.